women. And for just to give you one number, there is this venture capital industry. So VC funds, professional investors who invest in early companies, they're investing other people's money, and what they're looking for are super scalable companies. And there is a lot of money in this industry. So it's hundreds of millions of euros that are being invested every year. And out of these hundreds of million, more than 90%, I think it's 93 for 2020, are going to all male teams. Meaning, if we turn this thing around, only 7% of the funding are going to female teams, so sole female teams, and teams with at least one female co-founder, which is just, sorry that I'm saying this, I know this is being recorded, but it's a shit show. So we thought, okay, we need to do something about this and tackle this issue. The other topic that we're addressing is the general topic of female talent in the tech and innovation industry, because as mentioned, there's a huge underrepresentation of female decision makers, basically everywhere, and in almost every company. So what does this mean for us? That we're offering two main programs and services. On the one hand side, there is GrowF, which is our startup accelerator focused on early stage startup companies who want to become investment ready, who want to raise the first funding round, and who want to get connected to investors. Karina, who will be hosting the second part of this session with me, is our head of accelerator and has the honor of working with our 49 portfolio companies, getting to know them in detail and helping them to, well, establish successful businesses and set the very first steps in doing so. Our other program is focused on this leadership topic, where it's really about helping women who are employed in innovative and tech-oriented companies to achieve their career goals, to be successful, to be confident, and to develop their individual leadership style. We've worked with 45 participants so far, and they are working mostly in very big and mostly listed companies in the German-speaking market, and hopefully will make their way quite soon to being a C-level executives. So, most important slide from all the female founder slides, doing this would not be possible without a team, because as already mentioned, I truly believe that investing one's time is the biggest sign of appreciation that you can get. And therefore, we're extremely proud that we're now a team of 12 people. So we managed to grow 3 times in 2020, who are running female founders. On our channels, we're reaching 25,000 people every week. And we're growing at a 10% rate every month. So we see that this topic of female entrepreneurship and the 2 pain points that we're addressing are extremely relevant in this ecosystem. And sort of our claim and our vision is that we want to reshape economy and society by fostering entrepreneurial women. And there is this equation which sums everything up perfectly fine, because we learned that it's important to communicate as simple as possible. So we are saying that entrepreneurship plus women equals an equal future, and a better one for all of us. So maybe a bit of background about why we believe in entrepreneurship and why we think that entrepreneurship is actually a skill and something that basically everyone can need in everyday life. So this is the slide that we're using in our fundraising deck. So you can see my co-founder Nina, and you can see a bit about myself and sort of our experience and the things that we've been doing and that we're doing right now. And when I created this slide and when I'm showing it and when I'm talking about it, I always feel like, who are those people in this picture? Because it seems that we've always been super successful and we're doing so many amazing things, and something probably, or a CV that most people would regard as just having a successful career. And when I look at this, I also see the things that sort of came along the way, the positive aspects, the negative aspects. But if one thing was definitely certain, then that about 10 years ago, I would have never imagined to see those things written about me, and that I would be doing all of these things, because as so many young girls and young women do, I would have never imagined that I just could do this, that I have the capabilities and capacity of becoming a successful entrepreneur or just successful in my career. Because there was just a lack of role models, and coming from a background where no one is talking about entrepreneurship and where careers in tech innovation are just nothing that you would even think of. And so we realized, okay, if we have made this experience, this might be the case for a lot of people, and especially a lot of women out there. And we've also realized that our definition of entrepreneurship does not necessarily mean that everyone needs to start a business, needs to become an entrepreneur themselves, but that it's more a state of mind and a principle of life, because you realize that those skills that entrepreneurs need, being proactive, making decisions, taking responsibility, and just doing things, is something that you just need in everyday life. Because also in your private life, let's think, for example, when you go on holidays and it's about deciding where to stay or what restaurant to choose, it's always about making decisions, being a leader, and taking responsibility. So we realized, okay, there's more to this concept of entrepreneurship. And sort of there's the downside to entrepreneurship, and especially when it comes to starting businesses, we realized that as fun and exciting entrepreneurship and running companies, it's also extremely scary. It's challenging every day. It's exhausting, but it's extremely rewarding. And we realized, because everyone was always talking about entrepreneurship is such a roller coaster ride, and you're going through ups and downs on an hourly basis. And we realized that's exactly the case, because there are so many things that are happening, so many unexpected things, positive and negative ones, that you could never imagine in the beginning, which sort of gives you the kick of being an entrepreneur. And it definitely helped us to grow, especially on a personal level. And this is why I would like to share our learnings as entrepreneurs. And I try to summarize them in 8 learnings, which are also some general recommendations that we've realized could be quite important for everyone and in everyone's career. And what I specifically gonna focus on is, yes, this is the experience of a female entrepreneur. And I know that there is a lot of discussions whether it makes sense to emphasize that you're a woman in this business, but I realized that when it comes to entrepreneurship, women just face specific topics and specific struggles, which are mostly related to being more confident, having to sell things, and having to convince people, which often is harder than when you would be a guy. So yes, I'm proud of being a woman. I can say that definitely. And I'm also proud that I'm a female entrepreneur and that I can get to experience all these amazing things. So learning number 1, trust your gut. It sounds extremely simple because everyone knows gut feeling is a thing and we need to take care of it. But I realized that although we know that trusting your gut is an important thing, it's sometimes really hard to actually do this and execute this, because we're always looking for ways to rationalize the decisions that we're making and base it on numbers, etc., because this is what you would do as a professional. But at the end of the day, I think everyone is making decisions really based on this feeling that you have in your stomach, and that is usually extremely right. And usually your first feeling, this gut feeling, is definitely the way to go. You just need to build the confidence to realize what's happening, maybe where it's coming from, and then make your decisions based on this. Learning number 2, talk about things. And especially talk about the hard things. Because when you don't talk about things, you will keep thinking and thinking and thinking. And I also realized that a lot of people might think the same things, but it's something different when they actually speak out about it and when they talk about it. Plus, it helps you to get some new ideas and inputs to just discuss things. And especially when it comes to relationship with your team or with your co-founder, and that's a learning from Florian Schwantner, actually. It's especially important to talk about the things that are not easy, because these are usually the most important ones and the most pressing ones. So one sort of thing that I live by, and one saying definitely, is always go for the tough conversations, no matter if it's hard, no matter if it's annoying, and no matter you feel like, oh gosh, this is gonna be so tough. Avoiding doesn't help anyone. It always makes things worse. Learning number 3, accept help. We realized that this could also be something that is specifically important for women, because we sometimes, and I just can talk about myself, but I always try to be perfect and do everything 100% correct. And I had to realize that this is just impossible, and there is nothing like perfection. And we realized that actually there are a lot of good people around who want to help, and who don't want to help you just for the purpose of, also gaining some benefit out of it, but because they're genuinely good people and they want to see you succeed, because it makes them happy when they see that you're thriving and being successful. Learning number 4, probably my most favorite learning: no one knows anything. We sometimes have the feeling that there are so many experienced people, they always know what they're doing, they are 100% confident, and they're just going for it. Fact is, no one knows what they're doing, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's just this trial and error principle. You try things, you see if it works, you change it. Maybe you're successful at one point, but most of the time you have to try it a couple of times. But the good news is that's happening to everyone. And if someone is trying to tell you that there's something like overnight success, it's just not true for no one. Learning number 5, which I constantly have to remind myself on, is it's important to take time off, like really time off, meaning put the phone away, put the iPad away, put the laptop away, probably lock it somewhere and just do something not related to work. And especially take care of yourself. Because, and that was probably one of the most meaningful advice that I've received in my professional career. This person, also a successful entrepreneur herself, told me that it's important to take care and take time off, because on the one hand side, it's going to give me new ideas and new inspiration for business. And more important, the business is just doing as good as I feel. And if I don't feel good, I'm not benefiting anyone and I'm not good for my own business. And this is something that I constantly, as mentioned, have to remind myself of, that balance actually is a thing. And at this point, I'm also saying that yes, I'm working with a coach who is trying to help me to bring more balance into my life. But again, it's a constant struggle. But then I always also try to remind myself that no one's perfect, and it's just about adjustment and constantly adapting things to the situation. Learning number 6, find a co-founder. This is, and I know that a lot, especially female entrepreneurs, are starting off themselves and are having maybe hard feelings about having a second founder or just not seeing the benefit. But if there's something that I can say with 100% certainty and confidence, is that it makes the life so much easier when you have someone to talk to, whether if it's about the negative things, but also about celebrating the successes. It's just more fun when someone is around who is also going through this. And well, the story of my co-founder and myself, it's probably one of the biggest love stories in the Austrian startup ecosystem. Because we're also good friends, obviously, spending a lot of time with each other and giving each other a lot of critical, but also very appreciated feedback. And this just helps us to grow on both a personal and professional level. Learning number 7, don't please everyone and don't even try to please everyone. Because again, this is something that is just not working and not worth your time. Because there will always be people who will be criticizing a lot of things about you, about your company, about basically everything. In the case of female founders, it's obviously related to how we communicate, our branding, the colors that we're using, etc. And sometimes it's tough getting negative feedback, especially for things like this, but you just learn to live with it and just try to focus on the things that you are doing good. Learning number 8, probably the second most important one for me, it always pays off to be authentic. Because when it comes to business, no matter if you're an entrepreneur or being employed somewhere, we just want to deal with real people. And real people have emotions, they have ups and downs, they have specific opinions, things they care about, and they want to be treated like human beings with appreciation. They want to just be in the focus of other people, and they just want to see that there is also a human being on the other side of the table. So being authentic and being yourself always pays off, basically in every aspect of life. To sum things up, in case of doubt, no matter if it's about the things that I just shared about these learnings, or if about starting your company, introducing a new product, doing something that you're scared of, just do it. Seriously, just do it. Because there's no better time than doing things than right now. And I think especially 2021 and all the things that we've gone through in the past months has shown us that life is short and that it's about trying things and just enjoying what you're doing. So biggest encouragement and probably the biggest takeaway, just get things done and just try to have fun by doing so. Here's my contact details. I will also post them in the chat, or maybe we can even share them afterwards, which would probably be even easier. Thanks for listening. I saw that there are some questions in the chat. Sorry that I didn't pick them up, but I'm already a bit over time. Thanks for listening, trying to answer them in the chat.
No, you're not over time. It was fantastic. I think we all could have listened for hours, because it's wonderful to get real down-to-earth insights, because at the end you are successful. We know that you have successfully run your company already for quite a while, and some of us are entrepreneurs or are going to be entrepreneurs and just on the beginning of our journey. So it's great to hear, just stay the way you are and start doing it. And with this, I want to invite you to the deep dives. And ladies, kindly put, some of you or most of you already did it fantastic. Not all of you, apart from very few exceptions who maybe joined us later. So please, in case you want to join the deep dive number 1, which is how to get started with Svetlana Prodanova and Asetila Köstinger, put a 1 in front of your name. In case you want to join the deep dive with Lisa-Marie and Karina about how to get financed, please put a 2 in front of your name. And now we will open our breakout sessions. And we hope you get many insights. And we see each other for the Q&A afterwards. And yeah. I think we start the breakouts. So for all those who have not yet put a 1 or 2 in front of their names, please do so that we can move you to the breakout sessions. I don't know. Everyone?
Just take some time, Martina, until everybody's...
Yeah. Diana, Jovanova, you might want to decide for a breakout 1 or 2. Kindly let us know which one you prefer. Irina as well. We don't know yet. Lina, Ola, Johanna. If you, Lina is in 1, okay. And
can you put me number 1 because
yes,
I changed?
Yes.
Right.
I think we'll do that once the others are all assigned. Ola, you also kindly need to tell us in which session you want to be. Sonia, do you know? Have you made up your mind?
Ruth wants to be in number 2, right? That's what I saw in the chat. And Irina, number 1. And Diana, number 1. If you...
I unfortunately cannot do it because I'm not the host. I gave the rights to Dina, so I can only ask the people.
But
well, everyone who told me,
Lina needs to be put into 1.
Lina in number 1.
And Ola and Sonia, we just put them in.
Lina is in number 1. She just didn't join the breakout room, so it's not on me in that case.
Sonia, whatever is possible, I see in the chat.
And maybe she's not in the. Maybe she left for a while. Then. Barbara, willst du auch in einen der Breakouts?
Na, ich glaube, das ist...
Du brauchst es nicht. So. Naja, gut. So, jetzt werde ich dann mal. So, everyone, I hope you're all back. And I hope you got the insights you needed to know to grow your business further, or maybe to venture into a new entrepreneurship. And this is it all about. So what I want to know, I want to open the Q&A now, and I would love to know what are your key takeaways and what is the one thing you will either implement as of tomorrow or change as of tomorrow. Please let us know. The big silence. You are overwhelmed. Anyone who wants to share their insights, what they got out of the deep dives?
Sharing the same values is important.
So thank you. That's really a big point. Absolutely. Especially when you have
start. If you have an idea and you have the feeling that you can bring value, just start. be brave.
Yes, get started. Absolutely. Maybe the ones who maybe Azatila or Svetlana or Lisa, you want to share what you heard during the sessions?
Totally happy to. We didn't hear much. It was mostly us first talking and then answering questions, but there were some great questions, like seriously. And I think that's just my impression, but please correct me in the chat if I have a wrong impression. But I really felt that everyone was super interested and super eager to learn something and really looking for very practical tips. So I expect a lot of cool entrepreneurs and successful entrepreneurs coming out of this session. That was a lot of fun. Thanks.
Would you mind to share one super practical tip when it comes to financing for the ones who attended the Get Started group?
I think for this one, I'm going to hand it over to Karina.
Okay.
Picking only one, I think we had a couple of them. And yeah, I think you in general when it comes to the VC world, there's a lot of gender bias in it, so I think you shall be aware of that, and you shall go to also to female investors to pitch your ideas, be bold, think big and think global, and be confident in what you're doing, and also find a mentor for yourself that supports you along the journey. So those were now a couple of them.
Super, thanks so much, Karina. And I think it's not so easy for us females to think big, think bold, and think global, because for many thousands of years, women were shrunk to a small role. So thinking big definitely needs a mentor. Thanks a lot, Karina. And what about your group, Svetlana and Azatila? Do you want to give us some insights you shared with how to get started?
Rather, we should maybe answer one question that was left unanswered about finding a partner. And I now see in the chat that this is a very hot topic. I feel it makes sense and adds value to the group to give more clarity about that. What is the best way to find a business partner? Maybe ladies from the other group can give some tips on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed this problem a couple of years back, and because I thought, yeah, there are so many places where you can meet for female co-founders, and there was none. Thus, 3 years I called an event on live. It's called Find Your Female Co-Founder in Vienna. It happens 2-3 times a year. It will happen this year on the behalf of Vienna Up on the 3rd of May. It's a 2-hour event for women who have a business idea and they want to find a co-founder. I see that a CTO is always a problem. So a good CTO, everybody's looking for one, but there are choices, there are solutions. You don't need a CTO immediately. There is no code, a lot of no code solutions. So if your problem is really big and really deep, then you can start without a CTO, but you need another, or you have to convince a cool CTO because their idea should be really great.
Azatila, when is the event? On May 5, you said? Or
3rd, May 3rd, I guess. It's called Find Your Female Co-Founder in Vienna, and it's on the Vienna Up. Vienna Up is the biggest startup event in Vienna this year.
Super. Maybe you can share the link with us either in the chat or you send it to me, and then when we send a wrap up of the session, we could also mention this because that might be interesting for many of you. Thanks a lot, Azatila. Super.
So, Martina, maybe I can add something because I mean, this is one reason why we have the Female Power Hour on this topic, because when we talk about networking, then we probably could also use this network and people interested in this room as a base to start with. It's not necessarily that we will match co-founders, but maybe somebody knows someone and use that initiative. And I think a question that I wanted to raise is, how can we use this network for that initiative? What would be helpful going beyond today? What could support the female entrepreneurs in this room or in the Female Leaders Network or at the View Executive Academy. So if you have any thoughts along those lines, I think that would be interesting for us to make it sustainable beyond today.
Yeah, something like a speed dating session, for example, for future female entrepreneurs or ones who are seeking a co-founder who matches the profile. Absolutely. What else? Anyone else who says that could be helpful to me?
I didn't want to dominate the discussion with that, but that would be one question I have. And we had something like the entrepreneurship cafe at some point in time, yeah, very much like the career cafe that you might, or some of you might know. Yeah, but if there are some ideas, and it's, you know, can be small ideas. Yeah, everything starts small. So happy to hear if you have some.
A female entrepreneur cafe. That sounds great. Have you offered it already? Barbara?
Not only for females, but for entrepreneurs in general within the community, right? I'm looking towards Gina. You spearheaded that at some point in time.
Yes, we had an entrepreneurship cafe, like the same, like speed date format for entrepreneurs, not for female, but for all of them. And yeah, I mean, we can think about something like that.
Yes,
start with the women in here.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. I personally would be interested. I'm looking for a co-founder. So ladies.
But I would also say leverage your network. Like same as Lisa said, share your idea. Also share that you're searching for a co-founder, and go to your network and look into the people that you know who potentially know someone else who would be interested in co-founding a startup. And share that idea with many people, and maybe then you will find a relevant person or someone to talk to. And if it doesn't lead to a co-founder, maybe it leads to someone who is worthwhile for your startup. So
absolutely. Thanks so much, Karina. Great ideas. Anything else, ladies? We don't want to talk all the time among us. We want you to tell us what we can do for you.
Nothing. That's an easy job. This we can do.
But if you don't want to mention it now, you can always get back to us later. We are more than happy to hear from you. So with that, I would love to close. And as always, after my closing, we will have a 10-minute networking round, because it's all about getting to know each other better, because the more we know each other, the bigger the likelihood that, for example, we become co-founders, some of you. And while closing, let me just mention 3 things. One is, we are super happy we have a new female founder, Adela Mehic-Canic, the vice president of our network. She now has her little Esma. Esma arrived on the 1st of April. And by the way, Olena Klon, one other female board member, she is not with us tonight because her little Meth, who is already 2 years old now, has his birthday tonight. So we are more than happy because we are growing. Our board is growing. And I also would like to mention that the song you heard at the beginning when you entered the session was from B.B. Cole. And B.B. Cole is an Austrian singer and songwriter and an entrepreneur herself. And if you liked her song, you can find it everywhere, on Spotify, on YouTube, on Amazon, on Apple, etc. So just in case you like the song, I would be glad. She gave her feathers, and it's everywhere. And what else do I want to know? I want to tell you that if you want to dig deeper into this topic of female entrepreneurs, on April 22nd, there will be, for the first time in German and English, the Kongress Unternehmerin.at/Kongress, or the Austrian Women Entrepreneurs Congress. And it will take place on the 22nd of April, day long. And it's virtual, of course, and it's free of charge. And then the PWN, the Professional Women's Network, they are inviting the audience to a virtual entrepreneurship program. So this might also be interesting for you. And most of all, I think if you're really into it and you really want to grow to the next level and get your investment ready, then join the next Grow F program with the female founders. Like, by the way, Gabriele Lang did, and Gabriele is one of our Global Executive MBA alumna, and she has her company Up and Change. And I remember, because she's a friend of mine, she said that this program was fantastic for her, and it completely changed her perspective, because she already had a her own small company, and thanks to the Grow F program, she really changed into a much bigger version of her own company. So with this, let me close the session and start the breakouts, and let me welcome you all in June again for our next Power Hour. It will be on the 1st of June, and it will be run by Priyanka, about mental health. Looking forward to it, and really enjoyed the session with all of you, and a big, big thank you to our speakers tonight. Enjoy the breakouts.